Hello everyone, my name is Genesis and I am the writer of, well, okay, my name is Genesis and I really considered making YouTube videos, but I'm like, it's kind of weird because I'm not that funny and I don't know, I'm not geeky. I am geeky. I'm not, I don't know, just like the qualities that a YouTuber would have. But I decided, heck, why not just put my first video out there? And then I had to contemplate, what am I gonna write about, or what am I gonna do that's just gonna mind boggle the world? But really, there's nothing that you can do. It's just all about being yourself. So today I'm going to give you some tips on how to be a better writer, but they're not your typical average. Fix your grammar, structure your paragraphs, all that jazz. Because I'm not that great of a writer. I'm just like an average writer, and I have a couple stories up on Wattpad. I will share the link in the description, so if you want to read any of my books, you're welcome to. But somebody the other day messaged me and asked me can you give me any tips on how to write my stories? And for me, these tips are about whether or not you're posting it on I don't know, something like Wattpad. It's just a simple, for everybody can see it. You're not getting paid to do it. My first tip, one of my first tips is just write from your heart. When I started writing, I didn't write for anybody. I was just writing for myself. It was my release, my outlet. And then after a while, I was writing chapters and I was writing chapters, and then I was getting freaked out because I'm like, oh my gosh, this isn't grammatically correct. This isn't this isn't that. I really need to work on my stuff. But when I was thinking about it, I'm like, I don't really. Sure, sometimes my grammar is horrendous. Sometimes I don't put periods in a sentence where somebody talks, or I don't put the right quotations or something crazy like that. But what I realized is when it comes down to it, if your story is really written from your heart, none of that matters, and it shouldn't, because you're not writing for them. Unless you're thinking about getting it published, you're not writing for anybody but yourself. So you might as well write from your heart. And that's what I do. I write based off of my emotions, which means that some of the books I write are very, very emotional, just because that's how I feel sometimes. And my second tip is, what was my second tip? Oh, yeah. Well, one of my tips was, if you don't love what you're writing, then don't write it. If you're writing but you feel like it's a chore, you're it's not fun to do, why the heck are you writing? It's like doing chores. You don't do them if you don't want to. Well, unless your mom tells you to. Or writing an essay. There's no love in writing an essay. You just write it because you're required to. And if your writing is kind of like you're writing an essay, then there's something wrong and you need to stop writing, take a little hiatus, or however you say that, and just take a break and think about what you're writing and think about if you love it or not. Because if you don't love it, don't even bother writing it. The people will be able to tell if it's not from your heart. Right off, they'll be like, oh, it's just one of these stories, something with no feeling, with no meaning. You don't want to be stuck like that. You don't want your story to end up like that. My third tip was, don't worry about the grammar, because there's a lot of grammar Nazis out there, and people that are like, you're and you're, they're different, and there and there and there, they're all different. You need to make sure you know which one's which. Forget it. I will check over my work after I publish, and after I publish my chapter, I will edit it later. But I'm not gonna edit it right off, especially if I'm really, really, really excited about posting it. And the fact that you have to go on and put your little fix your grammar things, it really, really kills. There's a lot of joy in posting a chapter and anticipating what the people are gonna say. But if your comments oh, fix your grammar, it stinks. That's like me coming up to you after you get a really nice haircut and be like, oh my gosh, you need to fix those split ends. They stink. that just kills your whole mood. Like, so just like think about it before, like, you grammar Nazis, I mean, I respect you and all, but just think about it before you post that on somebody's chapter, because it really, really does discourage. Another tip, I can't remember all the tips, but I think that another tip is, if you're feeling like your chapter's gonna be crappy, and like you know from your heart that your chapter's gonna be crappy, post it anyway. I mean, sure, it's out there, and sure, some people are gonna be negative. The haters are gonna hate. People are gonna be there that are gonna tell you that your story stinks, and they're gonna say, "Why didn't you write it about something else?" I had one person message me and say, and we were talking. I'm like, "Have you read my book yet?" And she's like, "Yes." But I really think that you should start writing something that people actually want to read. That killed. I was just starting writing. So I was like, what? People aren't going to want to read this? What do you mean? And that was confidence killer completely. And I got really upset about that. But then she suggested that I write like One Direction or vampire or like werewolf fanfics. And I'm like, no, I like reality. So, yes, those are my tips. Write what you love. Don't worry about the grammar. Write from your heart. Post crappy chapters because haters are going to hate. And just have fun doing it. I mean, those are the only tips I can think of, and that's how I write it. And I never would guess this, but like from where I was a year ago to now, I actually started a year ago. A little more than a year ago, and I was really, really scared to post my chapters. Here's one last tip. It's gonna take a long time for people to notice you. For some people, people notice them right off, and that kills. But for me, it took me 3 months to get a vote. 3 months, and I was gonna quit, man. Like, 'cause 3 months of nobody saying anything about your work, no matter how many chapters you post, is like so discouraging. But then I got a vote, and I freaked out. But then there was another month, and then I got a comment, and I said, comments are great, people. Don't be afraid to post comments, okay? And I freaked out about that comment because I was like, oh my gosh, it's a comment. Comment, comment, and I was, yeah, but there were a lot of times I wanted to quit because after I got the first comment, it was a while before I started to get more, and it really discouraged me, but I decided that you gotta keep going, no matter what, just keep writing, no, even if nobody reads it, just keep writing. Last tip, because now I remember it. Make some friends. Make some friends on whatever writing site you are. You can make friends with a popular person. You can make friends with a not popular person. I accidentally happened to make friends with a popular writer, the one who wrote Dating the Bad Girl on Wattpad. I love that story. But I stood up for her in something, and then she followed me, which was crazy because she didn't follow a lot of people at all. It wasn't my writing, I promise you that wasn't my writing. But then I started to get fans from her fan base, and it didn't make any sense to me. But make friends, even if they're not popular, make other friends, because you never know when that person's gonna be like, hey, giving a shout out to my boy or my girl who's writing this or this, and then you get that, and then your story is advertised, and then like you have a chance of getting more followers, more votes. So make friends, love what you're writing, don't worry about the grammar, have fun, write from your heart. Haters gonna hate, write what you want, write a crap chapter, because it's gonna happen. You're gonna have a chapter that no one likes. I think I've had a couple of those. I have a couple stories that people don't like either, but that's not going to discourage me from writing. I'm still going to write it because I can write what I want, because I can do whatever the heck I want. It's a writing, and I'm not writing anything bad. I'm just writing reality. So, this is my encouragement to you all, fellow Wattpaders, because I think this is going to go on Wattpad. Just keep writing. Have fun doing it, okay? And don't worry about what people are going to say, because haters gonna hate.